Namaskaram. I trust this finds you with a lot of love and light. And before we begin, I just want to thank you for all the lovely messages and comments you send my way. I may not get the time to reply to each one of them individually, but I pray that all the blessings you give so abundantly come back to you threefold, 100x. And may God give you everything that you set your mind towards with the right intention. Speaking about the mind and intention, let's talk about the moon today because according to me, moon is the most important planet in astrology. It's the mother of your house. If your mom is not in a good mood, everything seems to collapse. No one's routine functions perfectly and everything is scattered. Nothing seems to be in place. That is our moon. It's our inner world. It's our mind. It's our subconscious. It's how we process things that life throws at us. It's how we navigate complexities by developing the kind of mindset that's required in that particular period of our life. And moon is called an incarnation of Lord Krishna according to Maharishi Parashar. To simplify it for you, imagine there's this really cute and charming baby in your neighborhood and everyone wants to play with the baby because that baby has very good energy like Lord Krishna who makes you forget all your worries. And in fact, all the real Krishan Ji followers I know, they're all so optimistic. I've never met someone very pessimistic and selfish who follows Lord Krishna. So that's the kind of energy of a person with a strong moon. If you don't have a strong moon, you might end up creating problems for yourself that don't even exist. Now, moon is not just emotional, motherly, protective energy. Moon is the queen of all zodiacs, and that's why the biggest empires in history have always shown their Maharanis adorned in precious gemstones, exclusive metals, accessories available to a select few, because not only is all of this a status of wealth accumulation, but it also indicates enjoyment of luxuries. A lot of people are able to accumulate wealth, but do you get to savor it with your loved ones? That's why we check Gajakesri Yoga, Adi Yoga from the moon itself, strength of the moon or calculations from the moon. To simplify it for you, there are yogas called lonely moon yogas, which means no planets 12th from the moon, indicating living and enjoying luxuries in isolation. It's seen from a very negative connotation, but in today's time, a lot of people like to spend on things that they don't want to show to the world, and that's absolutely fine. Now, these yogas like Gajakesri are pretty common, but don't view them as how they've been written in our ancient books because that's not really applicable anymore. Not everyone is going to be a Maharaja if they end up having a Gajakesri yoga in their chart. But even just taking this coffee and really enjoying the sip of everything you're having, even people who don't make a lot of money but they actually enjoy it, they want to spend on things that make them feel good. That is what you will see when a person has this kind of a yoga in their chart. Now, you'll meet a lot of people who tell you that manifestation does not work, but don't get disheartened by listening to them. Just know that their moon is very weak because moon represents our ability to manifest and also visualize things before they have even occurred. Think of a little baby who acts out of impulse when it wants something. It doesn't really think about the pros and cons of things, and that is what you need to do. If you limit yourself even before you have to reach something or act towards it, then how are you going to accomplish big things in life? Now, your moon has the ability to bless you with things beyond your imagination also, but you end up diluting that power because of your limiting mindset. Moon is desires, and desires should always be big, they should always be positive, and that's why you should always dream big with optimism. In fact, the type of manifestation that works for you, whether it's audio, visual, all of that can also be seen from your moon placement. So, a lot of people who follow me are newbies into astrology, so they ask me to make videos on simpler concepts. And I also have people who've gotten deep into astrology, so that's why grab your food, grab your coffee. I'm going to explain things to you in a very simplified manner. Deepest insights will be told in a way that you can apply it in your real life, and still if something happens to go above your head, just leave it in the comments and I'll take it up from there. Now, I really want to emphasize that the strength of your moon is not just checked from the house and the sign, but also from Paksha Bala, which means lunar strength. So were you born when moon was moving from new moon to full moon, which is Shukla Paksh, or were you born when moon was moving from full moon towards new moon, which is Krishna Paksh, and both give different personalities emotionally. Very traditional way of also checking compatibility because it's believed that your partner would have the different Paksh. So you come together and the moon gets completed. There are a lot more things that have to be checked for compatibility, but it's a very interesting way to look at the strength of your moon. So check your partner's Paksha Bala also and let me know if the two halves are completing each other. Now, full moon is overall considered very auspicious according to traditional astrology, but it can also be very emotionally charged. So that's why not every event should be planned according to the full moon. Secondly, Amavasya is naturally considered to be tough because it's called a dark time and the moon is not giving any of its strength. So even emotional decisions during that time can be very difficult. Now, the moon has been called evil or Balarishta in our Vedic texts if it's in the 6th, 8th, or 12th house, which is called a very bad house for moon traditionally. But with medical advancements in today's time, it does not really stand true, but still, it's not the most comfortable house for moon. It needs the aspect of Jupiter and Venus to gain strength. So, people who are born with moon and sun conjunction are born in a very emotionally volatile time because sun is not supposed to be that close to the moon. So, of course, it brings emotional upheavals. And sun is father, moon is mother. So, issues related to parents is also commonly seen when this kind of a combination occurs in the chart. Think of a working mother who goes to work and she has two kids at home. Now, one child grows up to say that mother was never that available for the child, and that's why he was never able to do his homework. He got into addictions, bad company, and he blames his fate on the actions of his mother. The second child becomes very independent in the future and is very proud of their mother for being financially independent and keeping the family stable. The child is grateful that the mother was not there to nitpick or monitor every single action of the child, which gave the child a lot of freedom and independence, a lot of room to grow. So, our moon is not much about what happens to us, but it's about how we feel things and act on them, how we perceive our life to be. Now, moon is said to be exalted in Taurus at 3 degrees and debilitated in Scorpio at 3 degrees or around that, according to most Vedic astrologers traditionally. Exaltation and debilitation mainly show how comfortable your moon, your emotions are in a particular sign. Now, just the way your moon is very important in making predictions and also as a planet in itself, similarly, you need to know your Chandra chart because it shows how immediately you feel things. It's more immediate than your Lagna chart. Now, I could go on and on about the moon, but it's time I come to moon and all the houses now. And I'm such an academic, so I have some essential notes written here, some keywords that I want to refer to and not forget. So, if you find me looking here, just know that I'm not distracted. I'm just giving you some of my knowledge bites. Coming to moon in the first house. Now, first house is your physical body, your identity, your face, your stamina. It's how people perceive you. It's what shapes you from a very young age, and it's like a puppet show. Like, the I'm forgetting the word, but it kind of controls the key areas of your life. And any planet placed in the first house is 5x to 10x more intense than if it were to be in any other house because it kind of controls your life. And moon here also represents mother. So this placement is not very good for the father's health, and even mother can be like a single mother or someone who provides a lot to you. Something related to the mother becomes the theme here. So there could be a particular personality trait of hers that's very dominant that you carry forward in your own life. Any planet here aspects the one-on-one relationships house, so mother could have a big role in making your marriage happen. Or if it is aspected by malefic planets, it's likely that you have issues with your mother also. And if you have moon in the first house in your Chandra chart, no matter how close your father is with you, you'll not really feel that closeness, or emotional distance is what you're likely to feel, because Chandra chart is our emotional deep feeling. It's not what might be the reality seen to other people, but it's how you process your own life. And the 30th year of your life will be very transformative if you have moon in the first house. It could be that something very deep happens, and moon is basically changing and fluctuating, so your personality completely changes out of nowhere. Moon in the first house can also make you a very moody person at times, especially if a water sign moon is present. And the 26th year of your life could be when you start getting the money in and you become very focused on your finances and financial management starts to begin. But overall, moon in the first is very generous because moon is also mother. You want to provide to other people, and out of generosity you might end up doing a lot of things that you might even end up regretting, even if not everyone considers you generous. But you don't go midway, you like to go all in. Or if you don't like someone, it just shows up on your face because moon is our man. I would say respect women. Moon is elderly women, so do some form of donations to underprivileged old women. Try to take off some generational karma. Try to help your mother with her daily tasks, and also try to drink water in a silver vessel. And I would suggest that you don't make profit out of milk or dairy products. It's better left avoided, and you should do seva of it. So if you have some guests coming to your home, you can definitely consider making tea or coffee for them. Now, the planets with moon also matter a lot. So moon and Rahu over here can make you seem like a very erratic person to others. Moon with Shani can give reputation issues that give issues to your mother. Then you can also have Moon with Ketu, where you get detached from your own emotions. And in your childhood, it could be that you troubled your mother a lot. She was like running after you. Now, coming to Moon in the second house, usually considered a very good placement for Moon because Moon in Taurus or Moon in second house has a similar equation. Moon in the second house is food. Emotional connection happens with food. They should drink a lot of water, keep themselves hydrated. Second house is voice. It gives you a very beautiful kind of voice, and it also gives you a very loving family. You might be born being a very big blessing to your family if you have this placement. In fact, I've noticed that people with the moon in second house are very particular about the temperature of the food they are consuming. Like if the kheer is not as cold as they would like it, they would not even touch it. Also, moon in second house has fluctuations in finances. So a lot of businessmen have this placement because they can't really control their finances, and there could be a lot of emotional spending also if there's a Rahu connection happening, or if you're someone who's just very bad with budgeting and you don't have moon in an earth placement here. So it's very important that if a bill has come to you for $30, you pay 31. Just pay a little bit extra every time. So naturally let the expense happen on your own before you have major expenses in your finances. It's a good remedy that you can try. So second house is senses, and moon is also your food. Your mother could be a very good cook, and even you could differentiate between different tastes. So if you have a strong Venus, you can even proceed for a gourmet food kind of a business, or take your mother's help to expand your restaurants to different countries. That is something you can do from a business perspective. Eighth from moon is the ninth. So these people can have good relations with their father if the moon gets exalted in the second house. So it is a favorite placement of astrologers to have Rohini Nakshatra or even Kritika Nakshatra here. I have a very close friend. She has the fanciest car. Second house is also the house of cars and immovable property, along with the fourth house. So she has a long generational family silver business. That's also something very favorable for anyone with moon in the second house. The main thing to be cautious here is of emotional spending, and it's also important that you take care of your sugar cravings because moon is a sweet planet and it can give you weight issues if you eat too much sugar. Coming to moon in the third house, most people tell me that I have such a moody sibling with this placement because, yes, it can give mood fluctuations and even fluctuate your relationship with your sibling. It's never constant. Sometimes it's very good, and sometimes you're literally pulling each other's hair out. Moon in the third house is very good for amassing technical skills because moon is mind, and third house is also technicalities and marketing. So these people get attached to some form of coding, some technical skill, and even to online platforms. Third house is also communication, and moon is very fluctuating. So you may not know where to stop. I think what I personally admire a lot in people is who know how to articulate themselves very precisely. And this placement can be the opposite of that. You might just keep going on, and sometimes, even without trying, your emotional communication can become very difficult to handle. So, these people either communicate a lot emotionally or they just completely back out from it. But here, communication regulation is very important. Now, eighth from moon for them happens to be the 10th house, which means that there are certain things that happen in their workplace that they do not tell about to other people, and they keep kind of secretive. And also, here they don't feel emotionally like inside, they don't feel comfortable until their professional life is in place. Now, moon is aspecting their ninth house, and third house is your willpower. So, because they become inconsistent with things, they might lose out on good opportunities and the luck factor. So, here consistency becomes extremely important. And moon is again very moody, so they could be selectively hardworking. They might be very lazy with taking care of, let's say, their daily chores, but when it comes to work, they are very driven and passionate about it. So they're not able to hold that hardworking balance in all areas of life and can be very selectively lazy with certain things. These people don't even sleep at night if they fumbled in a meeting. They take the communication part very emotionally. So if someone says something hurtful, they get really hurt by it. And if they say something hurtful, also, they will think about it again and again. So think 100 times before you speak something, and that's why I engage in some communication classes. And also, something not everyone will tell you is that third house is your internet and technology. These people get so attached to technology that they are particular about the device, the RAM and stuff that they use, and also their eyes can get affected because of the same. So even if you don't have power, get good protection glasses while sticking on the screen. Coming to moon in the fourth house, one of the favorite placements of moon set by Maharishi Parashar, but I think it's a very volatile placement also because not only does it give you a very loving mother, but people end up doing really bad things and hurting their own mother, and mother also has a lot of expectations over here. I've seen people sell off their mother's jewelry, mother's property. But moon, if well placed here, can give you a lot of growth in interior work, something like an interior designer or working in homegrown brands and startups, and even in companies that do a lot of real estate work if moon is very strongly placed here. And investing in your mother's name, if she doesn't have malefics in her fourth house, can be very rewarding for you and protect you from any major financial losses and fluctuations too. Fourth house is comfort, so you get comfortable in things and you don't step out of your comfort zone easily. And I know people with this placement who are given a very loving mother, sister, wife, and also mother-in-law, so they don't get the motivation to work harder because they're treated like a king at home. That's why getting out of your comfort zone is when you grow emotionally and professionally. Also, I don't know why people don't talk about the mother's line of the family from the fourth house and they only talk about the mother, but I've always noticed that here there is a prominent influence of the mother side of the family or some kind of a relationship dynamic. Now, coming to moon in the fifth house, the first thing I want to address is speculative ventures, because these people get into the stock market and their luck fluctuates. So here, if you get into any speculative venture, fluctuations are likely to occur, and it's important for you to know your limits, know the stop loss, and stick to it, and get into these heavy speculative ventures only if you have benefics in the 12th house, and your 6th house also kind of supports this placement. And 5th house is also children. If a strong planet like Rahu also comes with moon over here, then it can make you very involved in your children's life. So here, knowing where to stop with your children's life and letting them grow is very important on their independent terms. Fifth house is also your luck and self-started ventures, so these people want to become entrepreneurs also. They get good entrepreneurial ideas, but creativity is fifth house and moon makes it fluctuate. So some months they'll be super creative, and this is usually seen in a director's chart also. After 7 years, suddenly they have a very good creative venture and it blows off. Moon in the fifth is also very good for education. I have 3 friends of mine who are in LSR with this place. It gives you access to good information and gives you growth in life through your knowledge systems. But fifth house is also romantic relationships, and moon, Chandra had 27 wives, so imagine the confusion that it brings up. Now, moon in the fifth can allure you towards speculative ventures, but you need to exercise caution during Shani Antardasha and Saresati, because Shani's nature is very slow and restrictive, and moon is very different behavior wise. So Shani with moon makes moon go really restless. That's why exercise caution. Moon in the fifth, when I've seen it in a child's chart, it's the house of self expression, and moon here makes you very moody if you're not expressing yourself in some way. These people get very vocal about their emotions. Moon represents options, so put them in different kind of classes, let them develop different hobbies and interests, and they'll carry it forward based on their own mood. Coming to moon in the sixth house, now sixth house is the natural house of Virgo, and moon here can be a bit critical. It's not called a very positive house for moon because it can give skin fluctuations, hormonal imbalances. It's also associated with urinary tract issues according to many astrology books. So sixth house is also daily routine, and here you need to maintain a good routine and do some grounding exercises so that you can feel good emotionally. No matter how much you try, it will fluctuate your routines over here. Because sixth house is also the house of enemies, it could be that your enemies keep changing or even use your emotions against you, and that's why eighth from moon is the first house. These people, as they grow older and because they are emotionally troubled, they end up becoming very private about their emotional matters. In fact, they develop the one day at a time kind of energy because they feel that something always happens daily that tests them. Sixth house is also contract, so here moon fluctuates things. That's why these people don't really sign long-term contracts. And sixth house also represents having a female lawyer or help through a female lawyer. In fact, with this placement, you should not have emotional resentments with people, because emotionally, if you get too charged up, that translates into health issues. Moon is in a vulnerable state over here, so you have to do daily meditation, and trust me, it will work wonders for you. Moon is looking at the 12th house here, so as they emotionally mature, they will not tell their worries to other people. They will go and surrender to God, and God will protect them from all kind of emotional issues. With moon in the 6th, I know a lot of my clients who've gotten a dominating woman manager at their workplace. These people feel really good when their routine is in place. They feel more mentally balanced, and also emotional stress from enemies can come if you have this placement. Now, coming to moon in the 7th, moon is not very good in the 7th house because either it makes the person very very loyal even when they have to be moving away from a relationship. And sometimes it presents multiple options. Till the time you don't see multiple options or multiple relationships, you're not able to settle down with your person. And sometimes it even brings in third person involvement in the marriage. But again, very specific yogas have to be formed for the same. And also, moon in the seventh means that you become very emotionally connected through one on one relationships rather than hanging out with people in a huge group. Also, seventh house is projection, so you might attract people who replicate your toxic behaviors also if you don't heal and work on them. With moon in the seventh, relationships dry out also if you don't be emotionally tuned with your partner, because moon, wherever it's placed, has strong emotional needs. If your emotional needs are not being met, you might just withdraw from the relationship. Moon needs a lot of balance and grounding, so if you have moon in the seventh, you just can't do things my way. You have to compromise and you have to adjust with your partner, because moon here needs a lot of adjustment as well. It's like moon in the first house, where mother's interference makes the marriage happen or breaks the marriage from happening. I've had so many cases come to me where a person had to let go of the love of their life because their mother was not in favor of the marriage, and mother was giving a lot of stress to the person. But if moon happens to be in Rohini, Mrikshara, or even in Kritika, mother's intuition really helps the person in finding the right partner for marriage. So here, mother plays a big role, whether it's your mother or mother-in-law, but mother's blessings become very important in making the marriage successful. With moon in the seventh, your partner has a very big impact on how the world perceives you, because moon is aspecting the first house, which means that people think that your partner is very loving, or the kind of emotional behavior your partner treats you with, it's very visible to other people also, and you can't keep it secret. It's important that you don't have a very materialistic partner, because here eighth from the moon is the second house, and finances get impacted because of partners overspending if the person is very materialistic over here. You need a partner who's very open and honest with you, not someone who lies about the little things, because eighth from moon happens to be the second house if you have moon in the seventh house. And that's why if you're with someone who lies a lot about the little things, it can even drain finances. And it's important for you to do some form of an investment with your partner, or joint investment, and be private about it. Don't tell the world about it. Now I'm going to tell you how to climb the corporate ladder with moon in the seventh, and make a note, because ain't no panditji gonna tell this stuff to you. So with moon in the seventh, have a nice small sweet talk with managers one on one, not in a group, about moon related things. So ask them about their culture, homeland, roots, family. You can ask them about what they cook for their family, moon related things basically. Ask them about their children and all of these things, and just do a nice small talk with them, and this will give you good relations also with your managers. Now, moon in the eighth is not something one should cover generically, because it has varied interpretations based on your exact chart placement and sign, just like any other placement. But here people can get scared with the generic connotations of moon in the eighth, so that's left to a deeper analysis. But I would suggest that eighth house is the house of heaviness. Moon here can attract you towards deeper topics like research, investigation, astrology. So try to do some or the other research to put your moon in the right direction. Also, take care of your emotions here. Mental health needs to be taken care of, and try to do some investments in isolation. Moon in the eighth, I've seen people do really well in risk management or some form of crisis handling. And try to read more psychological thrillers, psychology books. Try to get more into astrology. Basically, do the things associated with the heaviness of eighth house to make the moon favorable for you here. And don't get scared with the generic predictions, but again, an individual chart analysis is important if you have this placement. Moon in the eighth is a boon and a bane, because sometimes it gives a great relationship and blessings through in-laws, but sometimes it can give a very volatile relationship with mother-in-law, and even matters that cannot be seen on the surface level arise with moon in the eighth. So it's important, like I said, to check the chart in totality. But D9 moon in the eighth house is usually far more favorable than D1 moon in the eighth. I would suggest that if you are tensed about your moon in the eighth, you start doing Shiv sadhana, because Shivji always helps to calm down your mind. You can also consider just doing any form of mantra jap to calm you down, but I would suggest that Take out 10 minutes every single day to meditate, a very generic remedy, but you must follow it because it works wonders for people who have a difficult moon placement or who believe that their mind never seems to stop racing. Now, moon in the ninth, one of Rishi Parashar's favorite placement. Ninth house is luck. Moon makes it fluctuate, but ninth house is foreign lands, higher education. So these people get emotionally attached to foreign lands and foreign cultures. They're also very optimistic people, and ninth house is father, so you become very lucky for your father. But here, the sign and the nakshatra of moon becomes very important in judging the relationship you have with your father. For example, there's a friend of mine who has moon in Cancer, and she says that her father is more like a mother than her mother itself. She has a very loving dynamic with her father. So, your moon in the ninth and the fourth shows the peace of your parent that you get and get to witness in your life. So, your father could be very caring towards you if you have moon in Cancer in the ninth, but sibling could feel that their relation with their father is very volatile or even destructive with moon in Bharani, moon in Jyeshtha. So, the nakshatra really matters over here, but overall, it is a favorable placement for moon, and the person becomes very knowledgeable. They don't get into the business of other people, and they try to navigate complexities of other people by sharing knowledge and being well informed about things. These people need to constantly upgrade their knowledge, especially academically. They should pursue courses in a foreign land, taking their mother to a foreign land. And Guru or Sun in the ninth can make you very fixated about your knowledge, but moon fluctuates. So these people learn a lot throughout life, and they're not very rigid with their viewpoint. And these people are usually smart, even if they don't study, somehow they get good grades. And emotionally, they're always learning something new. Whenever you talk to them, they'll be traveling somewhere, or either they'll be learning something that's completely different from when you spoke to them last time. Another suggestion would be that don't get into petty fights with people or poking your nose in other people's family and emotionally charged matters, because that can backfire. Ninth house is the house of Guru, which means just giving advisory, keeping a distance, and also Guru is larger than life energy. So ninth house here wants you to focus emotionally on things that help you to grow, focus on the bright side of life and moving forward with the lessons that they have learned. Don't cry at night thinking about what has already happened. Let the past be in the past, and you'll grow a lot in life. The eighth from moon, for anyone with moon in the ninth, happens to be the fourth house. Fourth house here indicates some secrets that have been kept in the family, or so much of pain in the personal life that the person doesn't want to emotionally talk about, which is the reason why they fall in love with foreign lands and people from different cultures, because the kind of support they probably didn't get in their own personal life comes through some other person or some other kind of people who accept their ideas. Ninth house is also a political beliefs. With moon in the ninth house, your political beliefs can change over time as you gain more knowledge, and also you might get attached to the ideas of a strong female leader. Now, the sign of moon is very important regardless of the house. For example, here that we are talking about the ninth house, moon in the ninth in Cancer means you get attached to people. Cancer is a very people sensitive zodiac. Your moon is in Taurus, you get attached to material things, or you want luxury travel kind of energy in your life. If you have moon in Aries, you love the spontaneous part of your trips. Coming to moon in the 10th, I have attracted a lot of clients who have moon in the 10th who come for consultations, and I guide them based on their individual charts. But here I'm going to give you a more generic overview, but I'm sure it's going to help you. Moon is mind, it's emotions, it's in the house of public identity, which means that even if you are an introvert, you want validation for your work, you want to be known in your industry. And moon is emotions aspecting the fourth house, which is family. So if you are not feeling good about your work, or if there's major emotional tension at your work, it will show up in your personal life. So personal and professional life are very connected, and sometimes you might even do very impulsive career changes because moon is quite unpredictable and erratic. Overall, I would suggest you only get into an industry that you are passionate about. Just like moon in the 7th, you can stay in the relationship only if you have a strong emotional connect. Similarly, moon in the 10th, you need to be emotionally connected to your work, otherwise you will get bored. Especially if you have air energy in your moon, you'll feel that the intellectual stimulation has gone and you can't do repetitive tasks. So here people have a dilemma because they keep shifting careers, but it's important that you don't do it in the heap of the moment or very impulsively, because that does backfire. In fact, I can't tell you how many creative people whose charts I've analyzed who are in Bollywood who all have moon in the 10th, because it gives you rise only in creative careers or where things kind of fluctuate on their own. And creativity is something that always fluctuates. If you are a creative, you'll have so many episodes being super planned with your ideas. Suddenly you're sleeping and you get an idea and you write it down. So if you have moon in the 10th, always keep a notepad near you handy and just write down your creative idea whenever it flows through. But do something that allows you to innovate, something that helps you create. Check your nakshatra. If it's something that's very volatile, then do something that transforms other people's life, or you can do something that's more peaceful if you have a more balanced nakshatra over here. If you have hasta nakshatra hands, do something handcrafted, do something curated. Now, moon in the 10th is said to be conventionally very selfish because it makes sense. Maybe they're juggling between their personal and professional life and navigating career changes, but it's important for you to do something for humanitarian cause, and it will give you more growth in your career, but just do it for a good cause. Now, I hope you have your notepad with you because I want you to carry something silver to your workplace. This is a generic remedy that anyone can do with moon in the 10th. Silver helps ward off any negative energy that stems from the moon. So, it gives you emotional protection at your work. You can wear a silver bracelet or just a small silver item. You can even start drinking water in a silver glass at work. It can do wonders to ward off any evil eye coming from the work, or just your emotional imbalances can be taken care of here. Coming to moon in the 11th house, 11th house is your mass appeal, your society, your community, large corporations, your friendships, how you behave in a social circle, how easily you influence the people around you. And it is aspecting the 5th house if your moon is in the 11th house. So you might end up making certain decisions based on peer pressure that affect your education, and you need to have a strong viewpoint because you can get swayed by other people's decisions. And moon is like the mother. You might end up being the mother of your group or focusing so much on taking care of other people that you forget your own life. Now, moon in the 11th also indicates fluctuations in finances because 11th house is multiple income. So these people take up incentive or commission based work on the side apart from their regular income, and they get attached to these kind of things that allow them to expand their income portfolio. I would say because moon here gets swayed easily by other people, I want you to actually develop an income source that you do as a solo venture. Now, a lot of people, especially celebrities who've had a dip in their fame, or people who are looking for mass market expansion or getting into politics, they ask me on how they can have a better appeal with the masses. So 11th house is masses, moon is emotion. So try to connect emotionally with the audience you have, and if you have retained a loyal audience, try to connect with them one on one, or try to do something that emotionally taps into them. Now, 8th from moon is the 6th house for you, as you have moon in the 11th house, which means that you have to be cautious of debts. Just to diversify your income stream, don't end up putting all of your eggs in one basket. If someone, especially a friend, is emotionally asking you for a big sum of money, be cautious of where they are putting it, because 6th house is also documentation, litigation, and contracts. Coming to moon in the 12th house is isolation, losses, but also solitude. It represents spirituality, religion, your ability to carry your family legacy forward, your ancestors, generational karma, exilation, hospitalization, globalization, transcendence, foreign networks, foreign land, blessings in disguise, your bed, your feet. All of this is represented by the 12th house, and there's so much more to it that I'll come to, but it's time we cover moon in the 12th house specifically now. 12th house moon is isolated, it's painful according to ancient astrology, and at 3 or 4 a.m. at night when I'm reading ancient books, it's scary the kind of predictions they have made about moon in the 12th. It's so thrilling to read, but also kind of scary, but most of them are not applicable in today's time. Now, moon in the 12th house does give loner energy. Even if you have a lot of extrovert placements and you're surrounded with a lot of people, you won't feel like people are able to understand your emotional world. Moon in 12th gives a lot of blessings to you if you start worshipping your family deity. Moon in the 12th is a very religious placement. Even if you're not religious yourself, you'll come from a very culturally rich family background, and you should carry that forward to get the blessings of your ancestors. So worship your family deity. And moon in the 12th, no matter how extroverted you are, you will struggle with telling your exact exact feelings to other people, and you might even end up hiding your own real feelings. Now, sleep is something you have to take utmost care of if you have moon in the 12th, because everyone I know with moon in the 12th has some sleep issues and random sleeping patterns, and that affects all the people around them also. Now, moon is mother, so it also brings little bit of bickering and arguments with mothers, even about the little things. You might have these arguments with your mom, and that is why it's important to keep peace in the house. 12th house moon also gives you luck in a foreign land, but you have to move away from your mother for that, and that is why this placement is bittersweet. Usually benefics in the 12th give you good loner energy, you grow in isolation, but here you can have a lot of overthinking when you are sitting alone. So it's advised that you actually keep a good company around you. Now, moon in 12th is also known as a very irritating placement if your Mercury is afflicted, or if you have major afflictions in your second house, because you won't read the room and you might just go on and on about your life. That's why from a young age these people need to know how social settings work, and they need to know where to stop when they are communicating. With this placement, people get emotionally obsessed with certain foreign things. Like, I know people who've gotten obsessed with collecting international cards. They don't even use it anymore, but just having it in their possession makes them feel like it's an achievement. Also, moon in the 12th is notorious for being the long distance relationship placement, because we like to believe that moon is beautiful because it's far. If it comes close to us, would we even love it? Would we even idealize it? So these people end up fantasizing, idealizing people who are far away, whom they can't get access to easily. But as soon as they get access to something, they don't value it anymore because the chase ends. So this is a pattern they need to learn to work on, whether it's people or things that come in their life. Also, if someone with moon in the 12th really loves you, they'll end up solving problems and crises before you even get to know about it, to keep you stress free, and that's their love language. So there's this spiritual insurance yoga that I call. If the native has it in their chart, then they don't get isolation and losses, but they actually get spiritual protection and blessings with moon in the 12th house. So if you have planet in the first house or 11th house, that would be second from the moon and 12th from moon for you, you will get protection and some form of insurance that always gives you blessings, and last minute comes and holds your hand and takes you out of your problems. If you have this yoga in your chart, do know that you carry this spiritual protection with you, and I would suggest you carry a silver coin in your wallet at all times. Now, one more thing you need to know about moon and transformation is how you will transform, and whether it's going to be very seamless or is it going to be very painful. So if you calculate 3 places away from your moon, it shows what you need to work on through your own initiative. It could be having a little glow up, changing your diet, going to Pilates, a simpler version. But if the transformation is coming from 8 places away, the planet is 8 places away from your moon, it means that the transformation is going to be very intense. Is it going to be good, or do you have to transform again and again, is based on the strength of that planet. To simplify it for you, let's say you have Venus 8 places away from your moon, the transformation will happen because of a relationship, a woman, or some form of financial upheavals. Will you come out of it stronger, or is it going to happen again, is based on how strong your Venus is placed. Is it debilitated, afflicted? That will be again a cycle that you have to go through and transform from. Or if it's Venus exalted, you'll get your lessons slightly easier. So why I wanted to cover moon the first is because moon gives us strength, resilience to navigate any complexity that comes in our life, and that's why if your moon is afflicted, even the biggest astrologers may not take your readings, because heavy afflictions indicate that even if I write and give the minutes of the meeting, actionable points to you, I know a lot of people with heavily afflicted moon who are not able to follow any insights, and they overthink every little thing. So if you are blessed with a good moon placement, you should be very grateful for it. And I want to end this video by taking Shivji's name. I hope he gives you a lot of mental peace, stability, protection from evil, and a very strong mindset. There's a lot more to your moon placement, but I think this is a lot of information for you to take in right now. I wish you the best and hope to see you in the next one.